You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
What's up, everybody? Benny Gold back for episode 6 of the Lawyer Stories podcast. We welcome you today. So we have 2 guests with us, actually a co-host by popular demand. I know a couple people had reached out to me and really enjoyed the first episode that we threw out there. It was with my sister, Liz Gold. She's with us today. Liz is the owner of Rhino Girl Media. She's a badass communication specialist. She just launched a podcast where she's sharing stories of strength, courage, and resiliency. And her podcast is Conversations with Liz Gold. So check it out. Liz, welcome. Thanks for coming back.
Jackie. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, of course. And then, so we have LJ Chavis. LJ, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Good. We're good. So LJ is actually our first law student that we're having on the podcast, which is awesome because, you know, we loved your story, man. I mean, we like all the stories. They're all unique.
Thank you.
We featured you January 20th of 2020, excuse me. You know, we loved your story. We wanted to get you on here and talk about it. You're a 1L, which is great.
Yes.
So thanks again for being here.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So with that said, I just hope that everybody out there is staying safe and respecting and adhering to state, local, and federal protocols when it comes to social distancing and, you know, staying away from people and just sort of, you know, don't go and hang out with like more than 10 people. And you know, we have to kill this curve. We have to stay safe out there. And even if you are at a lower risk group to get infected with the virus, like we don't want to go out there spreading it. So I hope everybody out there in Lawyer Stories world is in our community is taking those precautions and staying safe. And, you know, I'm trying to do my part, and it's difficult. I understand it's hard. But, you know, there are other things you could do at this time and hopefully life will resume back to normal soon. What do you think, Liz?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything is online, which brings me to my first question, LJ. Like, you know, you're a first year law student. You know, obviously there's probably a very amazing experience to have, like when you actually go to school. But now that the coronavirus is everywhere and we can't escape it and we are being told to stay in our homes, how has the first year of law school gone for you? What's been going on? What's that experience been like?
So the experience of being a law student online is very different. I mean, as you know, many may know, like the first year of law school is like a big shock to your whole system. Like,
Yeah.
You've never done any of these things ever in your life, but it's just a big shock. And so what I realized what I needed to do for me was I needed to stay organized and as organized as possible. But being organized and going to school every day is different from being organized and going online.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remember to log on. You have to remember, you know, to ask a question. You have to remember to email the teacher and set up time to like talk after class on what this online situation going on. I think it's harder to go to school online.
Yeah.
Especially law school. I mean, I think, like, you know, on the law is hard to learn in person. So I can imagine, you know, like it's even harder to learn online, especially by yourself. So I just think that this has really changed the dynamic of our grades and
Yeah.
potentially who can come back next semester, who can.
Yeah. Is this, I mean, do you have like online study groups or anything? I mean, I bet you just need to have like some really good structure. You know, you got to get up in the morning, you got to, you know, eat breakfast, go hit the books. Like you really got to maintain a structure, I think, to be successful is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, like you really have to it just takes an extra level of just like
Yeah.
effort and determination. You have to wake up and try to get into a rhythm. What I try to do is I try to do something different every day in the mornings, so the days don't all seem like the same day.
Yeah.
I don't have really a study group because we mostly, I mean, everyone's just really scared here in Louisiana. You know, we really don't move much.
Yeah. Okay. I meant like an online sort of studying thing, but.
Oh, no. Other than us probably calling each other once in a while, hey, you know, what did he mean when he said this and this or whatever?
Right,
But
right.
we don't really have a study group.
Okay.
Online, no.
Well, it sounds like you're doing your best to like keep the flow going and you know, do well with the semester. And so you this is your second semester, is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, so second semester.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to get used to like a new normal, and you're as a new student, you're getting used to being a law student, first, and now like this major global pandemic has happened. So I mean, and I haven't been to law school. I'm not a lawyer, but
Mhm.
I would imagine that like, there's an amount of intensity that you have to like prepare yourself for when you go to law school. So and that doesn't stop, right? Like, because even though there's like a big crisis going on, like are you still expected to, show up and like, the grading is the same, the tests are the same, like what are the expectations given that this is happening?
Yeah, so the expectation for us is to still honor the honor code. We
Yeah.
are still, students. We still need to come to class on time. We still need to, be active in class. We still need to do our own work. However, what I realized with my school, my teachers, they've become a little bit more understanding and lenient and towards, what's going on in the world right now. So they, are allowing us to have a little bit more extra time on work and turn in assignments. But the expectation is to still stay on top of your work and
Right.
get, all your work done.
So
Yeah.
are the classes that are virtual, they visible? Like you could see your professor, or is that how?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we actually have my classes on Zoom. So
Okay.
on Zoom and we can see him and or her and they talk, we ask questions, and we go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. Thank you for filling us in, and Liz, good questions. We appreciate that. So to take it back to your story, like, this was really highlighted. A lot of people took to your lawyer story, like getting into law school. So like one thing I like to ask the guests that we have on the show, and you explain this very well in your lawyer story, was like, when did you had an epiphany at some point when you wanted to go to law school and become a lawyer? So like what was, and you had a little situation leading up to it, right? Like, where you had a friend the coach, maybe a coach being your advocate for something that went wrong. Like, just tell us a little bit about that. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, but whatever you'd like to share about, leading up to that epiphany that you wanted to be an attorney.
So I pretty much knew I wanted to be a lawyer at the age of like 16.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to be a lawyer because at the age of 16, I was going to jail for the first time and the last time in my life. And so I was standing there in a courtroom, and I had a prosecutor who was calling me a menace to society, and I had a judge who didn't really, want to listen to my half of the story. And at that point in time in my life, our family, we didn't have enough money to, go and buy a lawyer. We didn't really know much about lawyers. We didn't know anything about the public defender's office. We didn't know anything about, anything legal, if that makes sense, any sense, you guys. And one of my teammates, his dad was a lawyer, is a lawyer. And he heard what happened, and he came into my house, and he said, I'm going to help you guys out. You guys don't have to pay me anything.
That's nice. Wow.
He went to court. It was like a year-long thing. And I knew I wanted to be a lawyer when I was standing next to him. He just kept advocating and advocating on my behalf and with passion, and he just would not let them, railroad me. He just wouldn't do it. And it was at that moment I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I want to be like him.
Right. You wanted to protect people just like he was protecting you. And like, I think you used the word love too, and he was advocating for you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So like you made the decision and then, you got through undergrad and then, the big bad, and maybe I was going to say the big bad LSAT comes out, cause that wasn't fun. I mean, it was, I don't love standardized tests, so, that experience was difficult, but you kept at it, right? Like you kept doing it.
So I had to take the LSAT 4 times until I got a score that was, high enough for me to get into law school. And
Yep.
And I hate that test. I was so happy when I got the score I got. I was like, I'm done with it. I'm gonna use the score to get in somewhere, hopefully. And then if not, then I probably won't get in anywhere. But I'm not taking it anymore. So that was the thing for me for the test.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't have the easiest time. I mean, what I really loved about your story is that, no matter how many obstacles came on your path, you just sort of moved through them. And I think the part really that got me was when you wrote, when God has a calling in your life, people and obstacles are put in place to deter you. You had teachers to tell you, like, law school's hard, this, you're not smart enough to become a lawyer. This is in your story. Like,
and even a dean of a law school too, right?
The dean of the law school I wanted to go to, I was in her office, and it's in Washington, D.C. I don't know if I'm using any names, but
No, that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah, but I was in her office, and she looked at my scores and my transcript, and she said, pretty much, you're not law school material, and we think, maybe you should look into another field of work. And so, I mean, I've had to work for pretty much everything I had in my life. At this point, I've had to work to get into school because of me getting in trouble in high school. I lost all my scholarship offers, so I had to work to get into school again, and I earned a scholarship. And then I graduated school. I had to work to get a job after school because of where I went to college, and it was a small liberal arts school, so not that many people heard of it. But I was able to work in Capitol Hill, make a name for myself out there, and so I didn't expect law school to be any different. I just knew that I just needed an opportunity, and I just needed a person to take the opportunity, a person to take a chance on me.
I mean, how did you keep going, LJ, when everybody was sort of like, when you had teachers, you had deans saying, no, you're not law school material, but you knew you had a calling to be a lawyer. I mean, what kept you going and moving through that? Like, how did you, push through?
I just didn't want them to be right. I just didn't want to. I've never quit anything in my life, and that's sports, related to sports, or just anything. And I knew, or I know that, this is what I'm supposed to do in my life. And I knew that I just can't stop. I don't really know what it is exactly, but I don't have any quit in me at all.
No, I get that, man. I get that.
And I just couldn't stop.
You have something in you that, you're no matter what anybody says, like law's your intuition. That's what you want to keep rolling forward towards.
Right.
Yeah. I get that. I feel like I connect with that, because when I was younger, I loved reading the law. I was really we had different paths, but I think I connect with you on that level, with the LSAT and all that. And I took it once, but it was, it was good enough to get into a school or two. But I know what you're saying about this is the path, this is the path I'm taking.
Right.
I don't practice per se right now. I practiced for over 5 years in Connecticut, but it's just the area of what the education that I felt like I needed to get. You know what I'm saying? So I hear that, and and I also believe this. I believe the following. You could tell me what you think is, regardless of how you do in other school, if you find something that a topic or a subject that you're passionate about, and you're just going to put your all into it, you're gonna succeed. You know, you might not like, you might, I'm just throwing this out there, like you might not like civil procedure class, but you might love criminal procedure. So like criminal procedure, you're gonna study and you're gonna do amazing, and because it might be something that you're really interested in.
Yeah.
So I believe that, you know.
Yeah, I believe that too, in terms of just like, you can't really, like, as relates to my teachers and other people trying to put in this box. Like everyone is not the same person. So just because I have a history of not being a good student or being a good test taker does not mean I won't be a good lawyer or
Exactly right.
be a law student, because I actually like law school. I like them, and personally, I love law school. I love reading about the law. I love staying up all night reading and writing briefs and talking about the law. Like, you can ask any of my friends, I'm probably the most passionate about the law than anyone here, because I almost didn't make it here, and I know that I have to stay here and I have to complete it. So
right. I mean, I know what you mean. I mean, I was at the library late at night. I remember looking at all the books in the stacks and thinking, like this is traditional, like law school sort of thing. So yeah, I get it. So what about, I'm just curious about your work on Capitol Hill, like real quick, like what did you do that? What did you do there? Like, what was that like?
What was it? So I had moved to DC after I had graduated college. And I immediately started working on a school board campaign in a local county I was in Maryland. And I started meeting a lot of staffers on Capitol Hill.
Okay.
People who work for different members of Capitol Hill and things like that. And it was at that moment I knew at that time that I wanted to be on Capitol Hill. So I would have lunches and meetings with these staffers and stuff, and they would just give me advice on how to get there. And so I met this one person, and he mentioned to me that if you want to be on Capitol Hill, you have to take the old school approach and walk the halls. And so, okay, sure. Okay, well, I'll do that. And so I went home that day and I printed out like 100 or probably like 150 resumes. I went back and I just started walking in offices, trying to get the internship. And as I was, leaving, because I ran out of resumes, I was leaving. I got a phone call by like one of the offices that, I went in. They wanted to interview me, and so I walked back over to interview me, and they hired me on the spot. And I interned unpaid for 8 months until I was able to get a paid position.
Right.
I'm working with another member of Congress.
Yeah. Very cool. Very
That's awesome. That's awesome. That sounds like an amazing experience.
For sure.
It is. I mean, just really being able to walk around the Capitol building, and you're really walking down the hallway, and there's Nancy Pelosi, or there's Speaker of the House, or any other famous member of Congress you may know, and this is like everyday life.
Right.
It's a really awesome experience.
Yeah, that is awesome. I mean, I love your story because I think it's so universal. I mean, regardless if you're in law or not, like if you have a calling, and it's like, what are you going to do to fulfill it? Like, how are you going to, push past any obstacles or any, self-limiting doubts or, whatever is on your path to getting to where you want to be. So I really appreciate your story. I think it's a really universal story. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, I know you're only in, your second year of law school, but do you
first year?
Oh, first year of law school, second semester. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean to push your career along there, but do you?
Please do.
Yeah, I hear that.
Do you know what you want to study in terms of law?
To be
or
honest,
what area you want to focus on?
To be honest, not really, but I have an idea that after school I want to go back and work on the Hill. So I don't think I really want to like practice law.
Okay.
Since I don't know if I want to be like a courtroom lawyer. To be honest, I went to law school because I wanted the mind of a lawyer.
Yeah.
I want to be able to think and write like a lawyer. So I want to go back on Capitol Hill and do like policy work.
Cool.
And or like go work for a corporation and be the head of policy. So that's what I plan on doing.
So DC? DC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Back in DC, Maryland is where I plan on going.
Well, let me just tell you this before we get too ahead of ourselves. So, LJ, like if you ever see anybody on Lawyer Stories who's featured and lives in DC, if you go through the Lawyer Stories gallery, I know there's several people who live in DC. And I know you could easily send them a message, but if you ever want to connect with them, please let me know and I'll set up a conversation or I'll reach out to the other person for you. And, maybe there's a networking opportunity there for you. So just make sure you let me know about that. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. One thing that I would do in law school, I mean, I should have done this more, but if there's any connections of like you're at Southern University Law Center,
Yes.
yeah, if there's any way to have them hook you up with some alumni out there, that's a good thing. But also Lawyer Stories, and we'll hopefully help you out if there's somebody out there that's been featured as part of the community that can connect with you and give you some advice. That's no problem.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So what's like your most challenging thing in law school right now? Like what's your is there something that you dread? I mean, I didn't like the Socratic method. I think I say that in like every episode.
Yeah, so there's actually a couple of things. Like, so last semester, I was absolutely terrified of the Socratic method.
Oh, man, it's terrible. I know.
I just knew that I was going to get called on, and I was going to know the answer, but I couldn't get it out, and I was going to get kicked out. But once you get called on once, you know the answer, they tend not to bother you again. It's kind of like a pattern. They call on you. I mean, also, I think like a law school professors like know, who hasn't read. I mean, they can like look in your eyes and tell like he's not prepared. I'm going to call on him.
That they're not going to call on you? Is that what you said?
Well, no, they will call on you if you haven't read, but they can, look in your eyes and tell you haven't read anything. They're like, I'm going to call.
Oh, if you haven't read, gotcha. Okay, all right. Also, don't bring those little, those like horn books in, or those what are they called? Like the case briefs that are those canned case briefs. Man, I've seen some people get ripped up in class for having those.
Yeah, they hate that.
They're like the comic books of not comic books, but they're like these little illustrations that give you the breakdown of the case.
Cliff notes?
Sort of. It's like the Cliff Notes of law school. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they help you get through the case if it's challenging. I mean, they just break it down. It's exactly like Cliff Notes. Yes. I want you to, tell people or law students, like, what is your advice for like incoming students or anybody out there who, might have a little challenge to go through to get to law school? Like, what's your advice to the people?
So my advice would be, if this is something that you want to do, if this is something you feel that you are called to do, then keep pushing. I mean, you're going to hear stories. You're going to talk to people, and everyone's going to tell you the law school is hard. You have to stay up all night and read. You have to do this. You have to do that. I mean, that's no. Yes, law school is hard. But I feel like the outcome of when you graduate, you become a lawyer, you pass the bar, you become a lawyer, you literally change your whole life. So I think that, for anyone out there, keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
I love that. Keep pushing.
I love it. Keep pushing, man. That's that. You need a T-shirt like that says.
I do that, right? I need to get some paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You need like a T-shirt that says "Keep pushing" for sure.
Keep pushing. Yeah.
I like it.
That's
So,
great.
is there any? Liz, do you have any other questions today?
No, I mean, I think you really covered it. I just want to say thank you for talking about your experience becoming a lawyer and how you knew you wanted to become a lawyer, at a young age, and now you're doing it. You're in school, and so that's pretty inspiring. So thank you for taking the time out to talk to us.
Yeah, and it's it's a pleasure to connect with you, and we loved your story, and thanks for being the first law student ever featured here on the Lawyer Stories
Oh, wow,
podcast,
thank you. Yeah,
episode 6. Keep in touch with us. If you ever need any law school advice, you could ask me. I could tell you to do probably everything different than I did, because
I need a lot of
think, I think that might help you. But just
I need a lot of advice right now.
What's that?
I need a lot of advice, honestly.
Yeah, hey, hit me up anytime. We'll
will.
talk offline. Just stay the path. Stay the path. So, is there anything else from you today, LJ?
No, I mean, other than, I really appreciate you guys, taking the time and selecting me to be here today. I really appreciate it. I was always hesitant to tell my story. So I'm happy that telling my story actually helped a lot of people and was actually received well. So
good.
I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much
Thank you
for being a guest. And for everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. Episode 6, the Lawyer Stories the Lawyer Stories podcast. I got ahead of myself by saying we have a lot of content left for the Lawyer Stories feed. Check us out on Instagram at lawyer_stories. We're on Facebook. We have a website, thelawyerstories.com, and now the podcast. And again, Liz Gold, check her out at Conversations with Liz Gold. Great new podcast. And thank you all for being here. And wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. And be safe, too. Cheers.
The Lawyer Stories podcast is produced by Marketing the Law. Are you looking at your social presence every day? Potential clients are. Learn how to magnetize your brand with the help of Marketing the Law. Find us on Instagram at Marketing the Law to learn more.